Get on the mat, sister. Let me show you how a real man fights. The words sliced through Elite Fitness Miami like a blade. Dr. Amara Washington stood perfectly still as Marcus Chen, the gym's celebrated black belt instructor, circled her like prey. His laughter bounced off mirrors while 23 witnesses pulled out phones. 3 minutes, he announced, cracking his knuckles. That's all I need to teach you where you belong. The live stream counter hit 500 viewers in seconds. Someone whispered, "She's about to get destroyed." Another bet $50 she wouldn't last 30 seconds. These real-life stories, these black stories that become life stories of triumph, often begin with someone underestimating the wrong person. What Marcus didn't know: the quiet woman in worn Nikes had ended careers more powerful than his. These touching stories always start the same way. Have you ever watched someone dig their own grave with absolute confidence? 37 minutes earlier, Dr. Amara Washington had chosen Elite Fitness Miami deliberately. Not for its equipment or reputation, but for its demographics. The kind of place where power brokers made deals between sets, where discrimination hid behind premium pricing. She needed data for her Pentagon report on civilian combat training disparities. She hadn't planned on becoming the data herself. The entrance scanner logged her at 3:10 p.m. She'd paid the $70-day pass with cash, keeping her Centurion black card hidden. Old habits from operational security died hard. But when she'd dropped her wallet, the card had slipped out for exactly 2 seconds. Long enough for Marcus Chen to notice from across the room. Marcus wasn't stupid, that was the problem. With an MBA from Miami University and a genius-level understanding of social dynamics, he'd built his reputation through calculated microaggressions that never quite crossed legal lines. His student roster included 3 judges, 5 police commissioners, and a state senator. He knew exactly how far to push. "Military?" he'd asked, appearing beside her with practiced stealth. He'd noticed her scanning pattern exits first, cameras second, threat assessment third. "I train a lot of veterans. They struggle with civilian gym culture." Something like that. Amara's response was deliberately vague. Her current role, Pentagon Senior Advisor on Combat Training Equity, wasn't something she advertised. Marcus Chen. He extended his hand, gripping hers a fraction too long, testing for resistance. "I run the combat programs here. Just finished my 3rd book, Warrior Mindset for Business. Maybe you've heard of it?" She hadn't, though she'd read his actual influence. 17 discrimination complaints in 3 years, all settled quietly. His book sold because he required students to buy it. Classic power manipulation disguised as entrepreneurship. "Where did you serve?" Marcus pressed, interpreting her silence as deference. "Various places." Amara moved toward the wait area. Her phone buzzed. "General Morrison, urgent." She declined it. The Joint Chiefs could wait 10 more minutes. By 3:35 p.m., Marcus had gathered intelligence. Her form was too perfect for amateur training. Her breathing patterns suggested cardiovascular conditioning beyond civilian athletes. Most telling, she'd unconsciously corrected her stance 3 times while he talked. Each adjustment, textbook, special operations. She was trained. The question was, how much? Professional training? He'd shifted tactics, recognizing a potential peer. "Some. Look, no offense, but this isn't a typical gym. We had an incident last month. Woman got hurt trying to keep up with advanced members." Complete fiction, but delivered with enough concern to seem protective rather than discriminatory. "I'd hate to see that happen again. Especially to someone who's clearly worked hard to get in shape." The backhanded compliment landed exactly as intended. 3 CrossFit members had drifted over, drawn by Marcus's raised voice. Ashley Martinez was already recording. though she'd later claim it was coincidental. "I appreciate your concern." Amara's tone remained neutral, cataloging every microaggression for her report. "Tell you what." Marcus's decision to escalate came from insecurity. Her calm threatened him more than aggression would have. "Quick demonstration might help you understand our level here. 3 minutes, light sparring, educational purposes." "I didn't come here to fight." "Nobody's fighting." Kyle Patterson had arrived, summoned by staff who sensed viral content brewing. The manager's expression showed rapid calculation. Liability risk versus marketing opportunity. "Marcus is offering free instruction. That's a $300 value." The crowd grew organically. First, the CrossFit class, 12 people, then the yoga group finishing nearby, 8 more, then random members drawn by the energy shift. The live stream started at 3:42 p.m., Ashley's caption reading, "David versus Goliath, but make it gym drama." "I'll make it interesting," Marcus announced, feeding off the audience. "You last 3 minutes. I'll pay your membership for a year. That's $6,000. You tap out. You admit women need specialized instruction for their own safety." The framing was brilliant. He'd positioned himself as caring about women's safety while publicly humiliating one. Classic 2025 discrimination. Plausible deniability built in. Amara's phone lit up with another Pentagon call. The display briefly showed a partial message. Joint Chiefs meeting moved to 1600. She had 20 minutes before she needed to dial in. Enough time to gather the evidence she'd actually come for. "One condition," she said, her voice carrying despite its quietness. "Everything on record. On. All cameras stay on." Marcus laughed. "Absolutely. I want everyone to see proper technique." He began his performance shadow boxing with unnecessary flourishes, explaining moves to the crowd like a TED Talk on toxic masculinity. The digital timer read, "Advanced MMA, 8 minutes." The betting pool hit $500, odds at 75 to 1 against Amara. Someone commented, "She looks like my dentist about to fight McGregor." Kyle produced the liability waiver, already calculating social media metrics. The gym's Instagram had gained 200 followers in 3 minutes. "Standard protocol, ma'am, unless you'd prefer our beginner's class." Amara signed with her left-hand muscle memory from signing orders under fire. Her right hand stayed loose, ready, a detail Marcus noticed and misinterpreted as nervousness. "I'll use one hand," Marcus offered magnanimously, "and no kicks, just to keep things fair." The crowd murmured approval. The live stream showed 3,500 viewers. Comments ranged from, "This is assault," to "She asked for it," to racial slurs the algorithm should have caught. Amara removed her outer layer, revealing clothing that looked generic, but moved like it cost more than most people's rent. She set her bag down carefully, the distinctive clink of metal on metal audible only to trained ears. Marcus heard it, but assumed jewelry. Another miscalculation in a day full of them. "Ready when you are," she said, stepping onto the mat. Marcus's smile widened. He'd already won in his mind. The timer showed Advanced MMA, 3 minutes. Everyone was watching. Nobody was seeing. The mat smelled like industrial disinfectant and male ego. Amara recognized both from 20 years of military gymnasiums where insecurity dressed itself in bravado. The crowd's energy felt electric. Hostile, that particular chemistry when a mob smells blood, but hasn't decided whose. "Standard MMA rules," Marcus announced, bouncing on his toes. His calf muscles were impressive, she noted clinically. Gym sculpted, not field tested. 3 minutes, submission or points. Kyle, timer. 3:52:30 p.m. The music died. 43 people formed an uneven circle. The live stream counter showed 4,100 viewers and climbing like a heart rate monitor during cardiac arrest. Marcus circled left. Textbook Gracie fundamentals with Dutch kickboxing footwork. Instagram, perfect. She'd seen identical movements in terrorist training videos before those terrorists met Delta Force operators who didn't care about form scores. See how I control distance? He was still teaching, even now. Measure twice, strike once. Amara matched his circle, feeling her right knee protest slightly. Shrapnel from Kandahar, 2018. 7 fragments the surgeons couldn't remove without risking nerve damage. Nobody here needed to know her vulnerability. She shifted weight imperceptibly, compensating. Hit her already. A woman's voice, aggressive. Marcus's student, probably. Loyal to the brand. He felt it. The crowd's impatience, his reputation's weight. Every second without contact diminished his mythology. The comments were already shifting. His peripheral vision caught Kyle nervously checking his phone, probably seeing the gym's Google reviews taking hits in real time. Marcus shot for a double-leg takedown. Textbook execution level change. Penetration step, head position. He'd drilled this 10,000 times on compliant partners who wanted to learn, not survive. Amara's sprawl came from Fort Bragg's kill house, where operators learned that perfect technique meant nothing if you were dead. Her hips flew back, hands found his shoulders, weight dropped through her core. But the Kandahar knee twinged, making her adjustment fractionally slower. Marcus felt her weight shift, mistook necessity for mistake. Almost, he announced, scrambling up. Good instincts for a beginner. The live stream exploded. She's trained. Lucky AF. Marcus is playing with her. Ashley Martinez zoomed in, catching sweat on Marcus's forehead despite the gym's aggressive air conditioning. 3:53 p.m. 30 seconds gone. The betting pool shifted to 40-1. Amara felt the knee throb. Nothing debilitating, but enough to eliminate certain options. No high kicks, limited explosive movements. She'd have to be smarter, not faster. Marcus switched to striking, throwing a conservative jab cross. 70% power, she calculated. Enough to look legitimate. Not enough for assault charges. She slipped both, but kept her movement smaller than instinct demanded. Let him think he was close. Stop running, another voice from the crowd. Male, older, probably remembering when men were men. She absorbed the hostility, cataloged it for her report. This was data. Every slur, every catcall, every dismissive laugh was evidence for the Pentagon presentation on why combat training needed reformation. Marcus grew bolder, mixing combinations, jab, cross, hook. Cross-hook uppercut. Technically proficient, strategically naive. He was fighting the air where she'd been, not where she was going. Then he overcommitted on a haymaker. Amara entered his space, deflecting with her left while her right touched his throat. Not a strike, a reminder. At Fort Bragg, that touch was preceded by, "You're dead." Here, she said nothing. The message delivered itself. Marcus jerked back, hand protecting his neck. The crowd saw him retreat. The live stream, 5,800 viewers, caught fear flicker across his features like a power surge. Time? His voice cracked slightly. 90 seconds, Kyle responded. 3:53:30 p.m. The atmosphere shifted like pressure before a storm. Some supporters became doubters. Others doubled down, shouting encouragement that sounded increasingly desperate. Military? Marcus asked, no longer performing. Amara didn't answer. In interrogation training, silence was a weapon. Let them fill voids with their own fears. Doesn't matter, he self-soothed. Sport fighting has rules. His next combination came from competition footage she'd studied, his championship sequence. Jab, cross, knee, clinch. Fluid, practiced, predictable as sunrise. She read each tell. Shoulder loading for the cross. Hip chambering for the knee. Arm reaching for the clinch. She slipped the jab, parried the cross, checked the knee. The Kandahar fragments shifted. White-hot pain shot through her leg. Her check became a half measure, his knee partially connecting with her thigh. Not damaging, but solid contact. "Point!" Marcus shouted, triumphant. "That's a point!" The crowd stirred. Maybe he was winning after all. The live stream comments swung wildly. "He's got her! She's hurt! This is ending soon!" Amara breathed through the pain, a technique learned in places where showing weakness meant death. The fragments settled. The knee held. She had to end this before it didn't. 3:54 p.m. 2 minutes gone. Marcus attacked with renewed confidence, mistaking her pain management for retreat. He threw a Superman punch all telegraphed power. No strategy. This time, she didn't evade. She redirected, using his momentum against him. Basic physics. Mass times velocity equals mat impact. Marcus hit face first, the sound wet and meaty. Blood leaked from his nose. Not from impact, from capillaries bursting under adrenaline and embarrassment. The timer showed 40 seconds. Marcus stood without assistance, wobbling slightly. His students looked away. The woman who'd shouted earlier was silent now, recording everything. "Lucky," he mumbled through blood. "Just lucky." Amara saw his next move before he decided it. Desperation has its own vocabulary-wide eyes, dropped hands, coiled tension seeking release. He was going to charge again, all technique abandoned. She could destroy him. One strike to his floating ribs, already exposed. Another to his jaw, perfectly positioned. End this conclusively, publicly, finally. Instead, she stepped back. "Continue?" she asked professionally. The question destroyed him more than any strike could. She was offering mercy. Everyone knew it. 20 seconds. Marcus circled defensively, trying to run out his own clock. 15 seconds. The crowd began counting, but it sounded like a funeral dirge. 10 seconds. Ashley's live stream showed 9,000 viewers watching a man's mythology die in real time. 5 seconds. Marcus looked at Kyle, pleading for intervention that wouldn't come. 3 seconds. He glanced at the exit, calculating if running was worse than losing. 0. The buzzer sounded like a flat line. 3 minutes! Marcus raised his arms in hollow victory. "Just like I said! I went easy on her." Nobody responded. His students were already on their phones, probably canceling future sessions. The live stream comments were brutal autopsy reports. She didn't even try. Most embarrassing victory ever. He knows we can see him, right? Amara walked to her bag, each step carefully measured to hide the knee's protest. She lifted it, metal clinking definitely not jewelry, and checked her phone. General Morrison had called 3 times. The Joint Chiefs meeting was in 2 minutes. "Wait!" Marcus's voice broke like a teenager's. "That was just sparring. Want to go real? No holding back." She turned, studying him with clinical detachment. Blood on his face, fear in his eyes, destruction in his future. He'd done this to himself, but that didn't make watching easier. "I held back," she said simply. "You didn't." The words landed like grenades. The crowd understood. she'd been playing while he'd been fighting for his life. Kyle rushed forward, damage control activating. "Ma'am, you're obviously trained. Military? Police? We could use an instructor." "I'll be in touch." Amara cut him off. She had 1 minute to dial into a meeting about combat reform. This gym had just become Exhibit A. She headed for the exit, hiding the slight limp. Behind her, Marcus stood in the center of his former kingdom. A king without subjects. A fighter without fights. A man without mythology. The live stream ended at 10,000 viewers. Jim. Humiliation was trending nationally. Marcus's empire had taken years to build. It took 3 minutes to fall. 3:55 p.m. The women's locker room felt like a sanctuary after combat. Amara sat on the bench, examining her knee. Purple bloomed across brown skin, not from Marcus's lucky strike, but from the old Kandahar shrapnel shifting. She'd felt it move during the sprawl, metal fragments grinding against tissue that had never fully healed. Her phone vibrated. Pentagon's secured line. "Colonel Washington." The voice belonged to General Morrison, her former CO. "Missed you at the Joint Chiefs brief." "Conducting field research, sir." "I saw. It's trending number 3 nationally. #Jim humiliation. Clean work." "Wasn't intended for publicity, General." "Best operations never are. The committee needs your report by 0800. Will you have it?" "Yes, sir, with video evidence." She ended the call and pulled out a second phone civilian. Unremarkable. The Instagram footage had 14 million views now. But that was surface level, what the public saw. The real intelligence came from elsewhere. A knock. "Ma'am? Kyle Patterson, please. We need to talk." "Doors open." Kyle entered like a man approaching a IED. His iPad showed the gym's social media disaster in real time, members canceling, sponsors pulling out, news outlets calling for statements. "I need to apologize for—" "Sit down, Kyle." He sat. She noticed his hands trembling, adrenaline crash, probably his first. "You know who I am now?" she asked. "Your military, special forces maybe?" "Close enough." She pulled out her DoD identification. Not the full version with clearance levels that required congressional oversight, just enough to establish authority. "Colonel Amara Washington, retired active duty, current role, Pentagon Advisory Committee on Combat Training Reform." Kyle's face went through predictable stages: confusion, fear, calculation. "I came here investigating reports of systematic discrimination in elite training facilities. Your gym appeared in 17 separate complaints over 3 years. Those were all resolved, with NDAs and payoffs. I know. I have copies." "How?" "Those are legally protected. From civil litigation, not from federal investigation." She pulled up her tablet, showing him data he recognized: his own internal reports, sanitized for corporate review. "Jennifer Martinez, 8 months ago, complained about Marcus's inappropriate demonstration techniques. Your response was to offer her 2 free months and a smoothie membership. That's standard de-escalation. That's systematic suppression. Here's the interesting part. Jennifer kept recordings." Kyle went pale. Recordings? Voice memos. Marcus describing his teaching philosophy. "I'll spare you the details, but putting women in their place features prominently. Your HR department has her original complaint. You buried it, but digital forensics is remarkable these days. We could lose everything. Your parent company, Pinnacle Fitness Holdings, is valued at $847 million. IPO planned for next quarter. A federal discrimination investigation would cut that valuation by 40% minimum. Your CEO, David Hartman, would lose approximately $200 million personally. How do you know all this? Because I've been building this case for 6 months. You were the field test. Marcus was just the catalyst. Another knock. Aggressive. Kyle, open up! We need to talk about that woman. Marcus's voice, trying for authority but undermined by the nasal quality of a broken nose. Let him in, Amara said. Kyle hesitated, then opened the door. Marcus entered fast, saw Amara, and stopped like he'd hit a wall. You! His face showed multiple emotions: anger, fear, confusion, and something else. Hope, maybe, that this could still be salvaged. Me, she agreed. You're injured. He'd noticed her favoring the right leg. I knew that knee strike landed. You're not invincible. Correct. This knee contains 7 pieces of shrapnel from an IED in Kandahar, 2018. Inoperable without risking paralysis. Your strike aggravated combat damage that killed 3 of my squad members. Marcus's mouth opened, but no words came. The injuries saved your career, actually. If I'd been at full capacity, the temptation to demonstrate actual combat techniques might have overcome my professional restraint. Who are you? She stood, letting him see the controlled way she managed pain, a skill learned in places where showing weakness meant death. Someone who spent 22 years fighting real enemies so people like you could play soldier in air-conditioned gyms. Her phone buzzed. She checked it, smiled slightly, then showed Marcus the screen. It was a text from someone named Jennifer M. Thank you for today. Seeing him humiliated gave me courage. I'm filing charges tomorrow. That's my ex, Marcus said, voice hollow. Jennifer, she wouldn't. She would. She is. She has recordings, Marcus. Your philosophical discussions about female inferiority. Your demonstrations of submission techniques that crossed every line of consent. Your texts to other instructors rating female students by bang ability. Those were private. Those were evidence. The moment you sent them using gym Wi-Fi, they became corporate communications. Pinnacle Fitness Holdings owns everything transmitted through their networks. Check your employment contract, Section 47B. Marcus looked at Kyle, who nodded miserably. But here's where it gets interesting, Amara continued. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for reform. She pulled up a document on her tablet. The Washington Protocol. Comprehensive Reform for Combat Training Equality. It's already been adopted by 3 military contractors who run training facilities. Pinnacle would be the first civilian corporation to implement it. Why would they do that? Kyle asked. Because the alternative is a federal investigation, congressional hearings, and probable criminal charges for systematic civil rights violations. Criminal? Marcus's voice cracked. Creating hostile environments that prevent equal access to public accommodations. It's a felony under the revised 2024 Civil Rights Enhancement Act. You wouldn't know about it, passed quietly, while everyone was focused on election drama. She pulled up legal text, highlighting relevant sections. Maximum penalty: 5 years federal prison, $500,000 fine, lifetime ban from any position of authority in public serving institutions. That's not... I didn't. You did, repeatedly, on camera, with witnesses. But there's another option. Both men leaned forward. Full cooperation. Marcus, you provide detailed testimony about the culture of discrimination, not just here, but industry-wide. Names, dates, specific incidents. Kyle, you champion the Washington Protocol to your board, presenting it as proactive reform that positions Pinnacle as an industry leader in equality. They'll never accept it, Kyle said. Our CEO thinks diversity is communism. David Hartman, interesting man. His daughter Jessica is married to Admiral Tesler's son. I was at their wedding. Beautiful ceremony. David got very drunk and told fascinating stories about his fraternity days at Duke. The hazing incidents alone would end his career. The photos would end his marriage. You're threatening him? I'm offering perspective. David can be remembered as a progressive CEO who led industry transformation, or as another entitled racist who got caught. His choice. Marcus's phone rang. He looked at it, face crumbling. Local news wants a statement about the video. 23 million views now, Amara noted. You're famous, Marcus. The question is, what kind of famous? What do you mean? You can be the villain who got exposed, or the instructor who recognized his mistakes and became an advocate for change. Redemption narratives are powerful. America loves a reformed sinner. I'm not a sinner. I'm just what? Marcus struggled for words. I'm just teaching what I was taught. My instructor said women needed different training. Said they were emotional, weak, couldn't handle real pressure. I believed him. And now? Now I'm wondering if he was just scared of losing to someone he saw as inferior. It was the first honest thing Marcus had said. Amara recognized the moment, the crack in the armor where real change could enter. I trained with a woman in Syria, she said quietly. Former ISIS fighter who'd switched sides. 5'2", maybe 90 pounds. She could kill 6 different ways with her headscarf. Taught me that power isn't about size or gender. It's about understanding violence as a tool, not an identity. I don't understand. You define yourself by being stronger than others. Real warriors define themselves by protecting others. That's the difference between performance and purpose. Kyle's phone buzzed. He looked at it, went pale. Board meeting. Emergency. They want me there in an hour. Good. Take this. Amara handed him a flash drive. Full presentation on the Washington Protocol. Financial projections showing 30% membership increase after implementation. Testimonials from military contractors about improved training outcomes. Everything they need to make the right choice. And if they don't? Then tomorrow, Jennifer Martinez files charges. The Pentagon launches an investigation. The IPO fails. Pinnacle becomes a case study in how discrimination destroys value. Your choice. Kyle took the drive like it was radioactive. Marcus, Amara turned to him. Mara turned. You have 12 hours to decide. Cooperate and rebuild, or resist and be buried. Either way, change is coming. Why are you doing this? Marcus asked. You won. You humiliated me. Isn't that enough? This isn't about you, Marcus. You're just a symptom. The disease is a system that teaches men to fear women's strength and women to doubt their own power. That system kills people literally. In combat situations where mixed-gender units fail because of trained bias. She moved toward the door, no longer hiding the limp. My squad in Kandahar had 2 women, Private Chen and Specialist Rodriguez. Chen died because her male partner didn't trust her to hold a position. Rodriguez died because she'd been taught to defer to male judgment even when hers was right. Their names are on a wall in Arlington now because of attitudes you perpetuate. She paused at the door. So no, Marcus. Humiliating you isn't enough. Changing the system that created you, that might be enough. We'll see. She left them there. Kyle clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. Marcus staring at his phone as his world collapsed in real time. In the parking lot, Amara finally let herself feel the full pain. The knee was swelling badly. She'd need ice elevation, probably a cortisone shot. But first, she had a report to write. 23 million people had watched her fight. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. Next day, 10:00 a.m. Pinnacle Fitness Holdings, 47th floor, downtown Miami. The boardroom reeked of panic beneath $500 per ounce cologne. 12 directors arranged themselves like defendants awaiting verdict. CEO David Hartman hadn't slept, his eyes bloodshot. His usual commando presence cracked. The screens showed carnage. Pre-market down 23%. Market cap hemorrhaging $195 million. CNBC running the video hourly. 3 institutional investors demanding emergency calls. NASDAQ considering trading suspension. "Explain," Hartman said to Kyle, voice dangerous, "how 3 minutes of smartphone footage erased 5 years of growth." Kyle's hands shook, pulling up his tablet. "She's Pentagon, David. This was planned." "Pentagon?" Board member Victoria Chase, former Goldman Sachs, leaned forward. "Clarify." "Colonel Amara Washington. Special Operations background. Current role: Senior Advisor, Combat Training Equity Reform. She's been building a case against us for 6 months." "Building what case?" General Counsel Margaret Torres demanded. Kyle's presentation began. 17 discrimination complaints over 3 years. Each settled quietly, NDAs signed. Total payouts: $3.2 million. Jennifer Martinez's name appeared, highlighted in red. "Martinez recorded everything," Kyle continued. 8 hours of audio. Marcus describing his teaching philosophy. Other instructors laughing about female members. Me telling HR to make it go away. The temperature plummeted despite Miami heat outside. "There's more." Kyle showed federal statutes. The 2024 Civil Rights Enhancement Act reclassified systematic discrimination in public accommodations as racketeering. RICO predicates: 20 years federal, asset forfeiture, personal liability piercing corporate veil. "That's impossible," Hartman started. The door opened. Amara entered, today wearing navy dress blues, medals precisely aligned. Behind her, Captain Robinson carried documents that radiated federal authority. She didn't ask permission, just sat. "Gentlemen, ladies, we're past pleasantries. This is private property. No, it's evidence." Robinson placed the warrant. Signed 90 minutes ago by Judge Chen Marcus's cousin, ironically. She was particularly interested in discrimination against Asian women at your facilities. Torres grabbed the warrant, scanning desperately for flaws. Found none. Amara connected her tablet to their screens without asking it permission military-grade override protocols. The board's faces appeared from yesterday, multiple angles, biometric overlays showing stress responses. "David, your heart rate peaked at 186 when the live stream hit 10,000 viewers. Dangerous for a man with your cardiac history. How do you... FitTech monitoring. Your insurance requires executive health tracking. Paragraph 1247 of your policy grants federal access during criminal investigations. You should read contracts before signing." She pulled up texts sent during the incident. Hartman to CFO. "Let the girl get hurt. Insurance covers medical, not reputation." CFO to Hartman. "Legal exposure." Hartman. "Torres will handle it." Torres went pale. "I never agreed." "You didn't disagree." Amara showed Torres's own texts to outside counsel. Quote, "If someone gets injured during consensual sparring, Our liability is minimal, unquote, establishing premeditation. Board member Richard Park, the oldest director, spoke carefully. Colonel, what exactly do you want? Change. She pulled up the Washington Protocol. Comprehensive reform based on 22 years of combat experience and 3 years of academic research at War College. We're not the military. You train civilians in violence. That makes you part of the combat preparation pipeline. When biased instructors create incompetent fighters, those fighters join military or law enforcement. People die. She showed photos. Young faces in uniform. Private Jessica Thompson denied advanced training at your San Diego facility because the instructor said women weren't built for ground fighting. Joined Marines without proper preparation. Died in Syria, unable to execute basic escape technique. That's not our fault. Specialist Michael Reeves, your Chicago gym. Instructor told him women fighters were just cardio bunnies. Underestimated female insurgent in Afghanistan. She killed him and 2 squad members. Silence, except for climate control, fighting Miami humidity. Sandra Williams, the sole black board member, finally spoke. The protocol. What's involved? Phase 1. Immediate termination of instructors with multiple complaints. Phase 2. Mandatory retraining for all staff by military professionals. Phase 3. AI-powered bias monitoring in all facilities. Phase 4. Quarterly audits by external firm. Phase 5. Public transparency reports. Cost? Asked CFO Michael Chen. $12 million implementation, $3 million annual maintenance. That's impossible. Your IPO valued at $847 million assumes no federal investigation. With investigation, valuation drops to $320 million. With criminal charges, 0. 12 million or 500 million. Choose. Hartman stood, pacing. You're describing corporate surrender. I'm describing corporate evolution. Your grandfather built whites-only gyms. Your father integrated when federal law demanded. You expanded to women when demographics shifted. Each generation adapts to social reality or becomes extinct. This is extortion. This is opportunity. Amara shifted screens. Post-implementation projections. Pinnacle becomes first major chain with comprehensive equality certification. Government contracts for military families $200 million over 5 years. New demographic penetration, 47% increase in female membership, 62% increase in minority membership. Net positive, $340 million. Assuming we can execute, I'll oversee implementation personally, 6-month embedded consulting. Your fee? $1 salary, plus $15 million for scholarship fund providing free combat training in underserved communities. Board member Chase did rapid calculations. $15 million against potential losses of everything, Amara finished. Jennifer Martinez's press conference is scheduled for noon. Gloria Allred is flying in. 3 other women have joined. CNN has a documentary crew ready. Your stock won't survive the day. We could fight the allegations. Amara played audio from Kyle's phone. Marcus's voice, clear and damning. Women come here thinking they're tough. I put them in their place. It's biological reality. They're weaker, emotionally unstable, designed for breeding, not battle. Half the board physically recoiled. There are 47 similar recordings, each one a nail in your coffin. Torres tried one last legal maneuver. If we implement your protocol, prosecution stops. Investigation suspends pending successful implementation. 18 months probation. 1 violation. Prosecution resumes with prejudice. Define violation. any substantiated discrimination complaint, any retaliation against whistleblowers, any attempt to circumvent the protocol. And Marcus? Marcus cooperates fully or faces personal prosecution. His choice gets made in, she checked her watch, 2 hours. The room fragmented into whispered sidebar conversations. Hartman huddled with Torres. Chase worked her phone, probably calling institutional investors. Williams sat perfectly still, watching Amara with something like respect. Finally, Hartman returned to his seat. I need to discuss with the board privately. 5 minutes. Amara stood. Captain Robinson and I will wait outside. In the hallway, Robinson whispered, Think they'll fold? They already have. They're just negotiating with their egos now. Through the door, voices rose and fell. Hartman's dominated, then Williams's, then chaos. 4 minutes, 30 seconds later, the door opened. Vote was 8-4, Williams announced. Motion passes. We accept the Washington Protocol. Amara re-entered, noting who looked defeated versus relieved. Smart choice. Captain Robinson has implementation documents ready. What about public response? Chase asked. Our reputation. Already managed. Amara sent them a press package. Release announcing Pinnacle's industry-leading reform initiative. Marcus's public apology and commitment to education. Jennifer Martinez's statement praising corporate responsibility. Endorsements from National Veterans Foundation, Women's Combat Sports Alliance, and 3 Olympic athletes. You had this prepared? I had 12 scenarios prepared. You chose option 7, reluctant compliance, with face-saving measures. What was option 1? Full voluntary implementation without investigation threat. Would have saved you $5 million in legal fees. And option 12? RICO prosecution, asset forfeiture, orange jumpsuits. You were 40 seconds from that option when Williams called the vote. Hartman signed the documents, hand steady despite everything. Monday, you said? My team arrives at 6 a.m. Every facility, every employee, every policy examined. Resistance means prosecution resumes. And if we succeed, then you become the case study for corporate transformation instead of corporate criminality. Harvard Business School is already interested. She headed for the door, stopped, turned. David, you have a choice. Be remembered as the CEO who led change, or the one who was changed by force. Either way, change happens. The elevator descended through 47 floors of corporate anxiety. At ground level, protesters filled the plaza, signs reading, Equal rights in combat sports, and Discrimination kills. Amara walked through unnoticed, another woman in uniform among the crowd. Her phone buzzed. Marcus had texted, I'll cooperate. Full disclosure. Please don't destroy me. She responded, Destruction was never the goal. Education is. Because Marcus was just one symptom. The disease infected thousands of gyms, millions of members, entire industries built on establishing hierarchies through humiliation. But diseases could be cured. With the right medicine, aggressively applied. The real treatment would start Monday. 6 weeks later, Elite Fitness Miami, 7:00 a.m. The gym smelled different, less testosterone, more purpose. New signs in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole proclaimed strength through respect, but change wasn't complete. Amara could feel resistance lurking like humidity before a storm. Marcus Chen faced 23 new instructors, his rebuilt nose crooked, a permanent reminder. His hands trembled slightly, not fear, but Klonopin withdrawal. The anxiety medication had been his crutch since the incident. "I'm not here to teach," he began, voice raw. "I'm here as evidence of what happens when ego replaces education." "Then why should we listen?" The challenger was Tommy Rodriguez, transferring from the Chicago facility, known for his old-school approach. "Because I've had 42 death threats, lost 300,000 followers, and my mother won't speak to me." Marcus's honesty surprised even himself. "Colonel Washington could have destroyed me completely. Instead, she offered education. That's why you listen." Amara stepped from the shadows. Several instructors instinctively straightened, not from her rank, but from the viral video they'd all studied. "Mr. Rodriguez," she addressed the challenger, "you have concerns about the protocol. Voice them. It's soft, treating combat like therapy. Real fighting isn't about feelings." "You're right." Her agreement surprised him. Real fighting is about killing efficiently. Everything else is sport. The protocol teaches the difference. She pulled up footage from yesterday, a protocol training session in San Diego. A female instructor, 5'3", demonstrating on a 6'4" male student. But this wasn't theatrical. The movements were economical, targeting eyes, throat, groin points that didn't care about gender or size. Staff Sergeant Maria Santos, 13 confirmed kills in Afghanistan, applied here 6 times, rejected for not having the right look. Now our highest-rated instructor because she teaches survival, not performance. "But the complaints," Rodriguez started. "3 this week," Amara corrected, pulling up reports. 2 instructors using baby girl to address female students. 1 demonstrating submission holds that were actually groping. All 3 terminated within 24 hours. Marcus winced. He'd used those same techniques for years. Jennifer Martinez entered, causing immediate tension. Marcus's ex-girlfriend now served as protocol compliance officer, a role she'd fought for rather than accepted. She wore business attire over fighting physique. She'd developed training elsewhere while Marcus had convinced her she was too weak. "Marcus," she said, professionally cold. "Jennifer." Their lawyers had negotiated exact interaction parameters, no personal conversation, maintain 3 feet distance, witnessed encounters only. But everyone felt the weight between them. "Netflix crew arrives at 9, she announced. "They want to film the confrontation between you and the woman from Denver." The room stirred. Last week, a woman Marcus had humiliated in 2019 had confronted him publicly. Instead of defending himself, he'd listened to her describe how his teaching had convinced her to quit self-defense, leading to an assault she might have prevented. "I'll be ready," Marcus said quietly. Kyle Patterson appeared, demoted to assistant manager but grateful to avoid prosecution. "Colonel, we have a problem. The Boston facility, they're resisting protocol implementation." On screen, Boston instructors staging a traditional values protest, claiming the protocol was feminizing combat sports. "Mr. Chen," Amara said, "you're coming to Boston." "Me? They hate me more than—" "Exactly. You're living proof that resistance ends badly. Mr. Rodriguez, you too. Show them what choosing wrong looks like." David Hartman entered, CEO title intact, but authority diminished. The board had kept him as a figurehead, while real power shifted to Sandra Williams. His presence here was court-mandated community service. "The scholarship recipients have arrived," he announced. 20 teenagers entered, kids from Liberty City, Overtown, Little Haiti. Their eyes showed street-smart wariness, not gym culture naive enthusiasm. One boy, maybe 16, with gang tattoos poorly covered, spoke up. "This the place where that dude got his ass kicked by the lady?" "This is the place," Marcus answered, "where I learned the difference between fighting and combat. Fighting is what I taught ego and exhibition. Combat is what Colonel Washington teaches, survival and purpose. You got beat by an old lady, though. I got educated by a warrior who happened to be female. Age and gender are irrelevant when someone knows 17 ways to kill you. Amara demonstrated a simple wrist escape, using Jennifer as partner. The movement was subtle, efficient, brutal, nothing like the theatrical techniques Marcus used to teach. This isn't about strength, she explained. It's about physics and anatomy. Anyone can learn it. Everyone should. Her phone buzzed. General Morrison. Boston situation escalating. Media gathering. Field trip, Amara announced. Everyone to Boston. Time to see protocol implementation in real time. Marcus paled. Boston wants my head on a spike. Good. Let them try to take it. You'll show them what real change looks like. Not perfect, not complete, but progressing. As they prepared to leave, Jennifer stopped beside Marcus, breaking the 3-foot rule. You're trying, she said quietly. I see it. Doesn't forgive anything, but I see it. Marcus nodded, unable to speak. Amara watched the interaction, noting progress and problems. Change was happening, messy, incomplete, resisted, but happening. The revolution had started with 3 minutes on a mat. It would take years to finish. But every journey started with one step. Today, that step was toward Boston, where the old guard waited, not knowing they'd already lost. The Washington Protocol wasn't just about gyms. It was about changing how America saw strength itself. 3 months later, Miami International Airport, Gate D7. Amara Washington sat in economy class, boarding pass in hand. First-class upgrade offered and declined old habits from military service where officers flew with their troops. Her knee throbbed, rain coming. Colonel Washington? She looked up. A young black woman, maybe 25, gym bag over shoulder, eyes nervous but determined. You don't know me, but I was there. That day. I was the one who yelled, "Hit her already." Amara remembered the aggressive voice supporting Marcus. You were his student. Was. That day changed everything. The woman sat down uninvited. I'm Keisha. I teach now. Real combat training, not what he taught. What changed your mind? Watching you not destroy him when you could have. You had every right to humiliate him like he humiliated others. But you didn't. You just educated him. That was power. Amara's phone buzzed. CNN breaking news. Marcus Chen hospitalized after Boston confrontation. Keisha saw it too. Is he okay? The article loaded slowly. Marcus had been confronted by brothers of a woman he'd discriminated against years ago. Instead of fighting back, he'd taken the beating, apologizing between blows. Security footage showed him refusing to press charges. He's learning, Amara said quietly. Learning what? That accountability hurts, but it's necessary. Another notification, Jennifer Martinez announcing her own gym opening, Safe Space Combat Training. The tagline, Where Strength Has No Gender. Keisha pulled out her phone, showing Instagram. The video from 3 months ago, now educational content in thousands of programs. My little sister watches this before every wrestling practice, says it reminds her that nobody can tell her she's too weak. She's not. I know that now. Took your 3 minutes to teach me. The boarding announcement crackled overhead. First class, then military, then economy. Amara waited with everyone else. Where are you heading? Keisha asked. Los Angeles. Police academy using excessive force justified as realistic training. Same problem, different uniform. You never stop fighting? The fight never stops coming. Keisha stood to leave, then turned back. That question you asked, have you ever stood in a room where everyone saw you as entertainment, not knowing you held the power to end their careers? Yes, every woman has. Every minority has. Every person deemed less than has. We just didn't know we had power until you showed us. She left. Amara sat with that truth, heavier than any medal. Her phone showed the statistics: 847 gyms implementing Washington Protocol, 12,000 instructors retrained, 340,000 women enrolled in combat programs. Numbers representing real change, but also 2,153 remaining facilities resisting reform. 47 lawsuits challenging the protocol. 18 states considering legislation to block federal overreach. The war wasn't won, just one battle. Marcus had texted from his hospital bed. Boston was rough, but I understand now. Every person I hurt deserves their moment. I'm sorry took violence to teach me about violence. Jennifer had added, he's finally getting it, slowly, painfully, but getting it. These real-life stories, messy, incomplete, ongoing, mattered more than perfect endings. Black stories of resistance becoming life stories of persistence. Touching stories not because they were sweet, but because they were necessary. Call to action. Stop scrolling. Think about the last time someone tried to make you smaller, weaker, less than. Now think about the moment you realized they were wrong. That moment? Share it below. Not for sympathy, for solidarity. If you've been told you don't belong in certain spaces, gyms, boardrooms, classrooms, remember this. 3 minutes can change everything, but only if you step onto the mat. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to follow more accounts of ordinary people revealing extraordinary strength. Comment? Your own experience. Your voice joins a chorus that's getting louder. Because discrimination thrives in silence and shadows, but we're done being quiet. We're done hiding. Your 3 minutes start now. What will you do with them?